do, that'd be amazing.
My pleasure. My name is Sharron Atkinson. I currently work for Drumgrange, and when I say currently, I hope to be that's my only employer for a very long time. Here I am a test engineer. The company is growing and it's doubled in size in my 2 years. Because the company is growing, it's forming a department. So at the moment we've got 2 people with a view to further take on another 2 to form a 4-strong team.
So you're building out your own team. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I always knew that when I came, it was just me, and it was a role that had not been done before. It was the engineers that were doing it. And I think that's why I took the role, because I picked up on that. I sensed it. There was 3 jobs lined up, but I just knew that this had something about it, a bit of meat, something to bite into. Maybe I've needed that 2 years just to see the life cycle of the products.
And also understand the company and how to grow the team and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you about Drumgrange in a bit and your role specifically, but I'm particularly interested because you weren't always in this job and you started off in the Navy, right?
I did. Yeah, that's right. You know, when you're talking to friends, and I've had it just recently, just upstairs, talking to the new guy that we've taken on. And he says, my word, you've done a lot, because I spoke about the Navy and when the fire brigade went on strike and we attended to that. And it's not until you start talking about it, it's when it all comes out. But because we lived and breathed it every day, you take it for granted. But I do look back sometimes and think, how did this path end up the way it was? Well, you know, when I left school, I didn't really concentrate too much, if I'm honest with you. I've always been better practically. I learn better that way. I'm not a retainer, but I'm better sort of hands-on. And I ended up doing an apprenticeship in a travel agents and doing travel and tourism. So that's why
travel and I didn't know that.
So I worked for ATMAs, which is no longer, but it used to be Carlson Travel Network. And
I know them. Yeah.
In the day, Lum Polly was going and all these things, and
Polly.
I know. Yeah. And so that is exactly why I look back and think, how did I end up here?
And how did the Navy connection come about? Did you have family in the Navy?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I knew that I wanted to travel the world. I was always a bit of a free spirit. I went away on a freebie in 18s to 30s to sort of write a report on it.
Write a report. Brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Met some friends out there, and actually, you've really brought the truth out in this now, because nobody's asked the question. The answer is right here. So me and my best friend, we met some friends out there in Gran Canaria, and she was joining the army. When we came back, the friends that we'd met, they lived down in Bath. They came up to sort of have like a leaving party for Michelle. I mean, we're still best friends to this day. I'm godmother to her daughter, and I was made of her. But she went away and joined the army, and I was just like, what am I going to do without my bestie, my sidekick and stuff? And I think maybe she'd planted a seed, but then they also said to me, what are you going to do, Sharron? And I was like, I don't know. And they said, well, come down and stay with us. So this was a Saturday evening, the leaving day. The Tuesday, I had my bags packed and I was in Bath. And I never came back. So my mum and my grandma came down 3 weeks later. What's going on?
Are you ever coming back?
Yeah. They thought it was just a phase, and it was the first opportunity for me to sort of fly the nest and get away from home and stand on my own 2 feet. I did just some odd jobs because it was just good fun. The weather was better. There was a different accent, and I was getting paid, and I was paying bills for where I live. So that was my first point of
grown up. Yeah.
A year of that, I thought, right, okay, I need a little bit more now. So I went to Bristol Careers Office. So I think maybe it was a bit of inspiration from Michelle, my best friend, and the wanting to travel. So it had spurred, you know, it had got my juices flowing, but then it made me think about, okay, which service would I want to join?
What? But she joined the army, but you went Navy. So what?
Yes,
What made you pick the Navy instead of the
army? I think it was the travel. You know,
yeah.
I think
But then when you join the Navy, you know, people think in the Navy you just go on a ship, and you know, obviously there's millions of different roles. You went into weapons. I mean, that's How did that happen?
Not straightforward at first. I mean, obviously, once I decided that the Navy was for me, then I had to sort of choose the career. And when you're on the other side and you don't, now it's easy because I do know, I've been there, seen it, done it. But when I didn't know, and I'm on the careers office side, and you're given this booklet and you're looking at all the different roles and job specs and things like that, you know, it all sounds like, you know, wow. But
What is that? Yeah.
yeah, what I did want to do was weapons or aircraft technician as well. But I was told that the apprenticeship was a 2-year waiting list for that at that time. So I didn't directly go in as weapons. I went in as a radio operator, comms, with a view to then sidestep. So they said, what you can do is then join up as RO, and then you can sideways entry and cross train as to weapons. And that did happen. I did do that, but it took me 4 years to do it because, of course, once they've invested
Once
in
you're
you,
in, yeah, they want to keep
yeah,
you.
they don't want to let you go. So you've got to get released from that branch to then transfer over to that branch. But I did it in the end. It took a while, but I did do it.
How many women were there in weapons with you? Was it an even split at all or not?
No, it's never an even split, and I still don't believe it is to this day. So if I was to give you an example, on a Type 23 is usually about 180 personnel.
Right.
Look, we've moved on from those times. Type 23s are no more now. They've been
Yeah.
superseded by another version. But you know, it's just to give you an idea. At 180 sort of personnel, out of that, there would just be about 30 women. Now that would cover the officers, the senior rates and the junior rates. So
Wow.
out of that, you would have an 18-man mess with the junior rates women in it. That's it, period. And then maybe a couple of 2-bed cabins with a couple of senior rates in it, and then maybe 1 or 2 officers. So the ratio seems really unbalanced in that sense. But actually, when you're in, it doesn't feel that way. I think just by the time you've got to that stage, I mean, when the numbers are on paper, you can see it black and white, right? But when you're actually, you know, when you're doing the job and you've been through Collingwood or HMS Sultan, which are the bases, the shore bases that give you the training, you've all socialised together and formed this bonding. So it's become like this multicultural,
family,
family sort of thing, that everybody's got each other's back. So there is no gender really when you get on board.
Did you find it difficult?
It is. Some subjects are hard. I mean, you know, there's people that, you know, do A-level physics and math. If you was to do radar theory, they'd be studying that for a year. We'd be expecting to do radar theory or sonar theory in 6 weeks. And it was a pass and fail. So you were bumped off the course, and that was that. You were backclassed.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there is great expectations. And that said, you're expected to do this theory and pass, non-negotiable, but those pass marks aren't transferable.
Right.
Whereas if you were to do that in the outside world, you know, that's quite a, you know, a credential.
Yeah, they're transferable. Yeah, exactly.
To do radar or sonar, you know, that's quite a meaty subject.
When you then went on to do the practical stuff and you were living predominantly on board ship,
Yeah.
how did you enjoy the whole camaraderie? Did you ever find it tough? What was it like? Intense training all the time?
It's not intense training all the time. So if I was to give you a day in the life of HMS Collingwood, so you've got to advance in your training. So that means that you've got to, for you to go up to your next rank, it means that you've got to, in my case, go back to HMS Collingwood, back to the engineering school. And it's usually about a 20-week course. So that side of it is intense because it's lots of theory, and it becomes really strict because it's a shoreside establishment. So you've got to do parade training each week, and usually you get stitched up for duties. So if you're there, it's November ceremonies. You do, there's November ceremonies. So if you get caught up in that, you know, you're down the drill shed at 6 o'clock every morning training and stuff. So yeah, it's never a good time really going to HMS Collingwood. You know, it's shore time, and people say, you know, that's it, you can go home each evening or whatever, but it's
it's a lot, and
it's not really time of your own. You're actually better off on board or going to sea or something. But yeah, so that is quite intense because you've got, it's all exams and pass or fail stuff and revision. If you're on board ship, the exercises, which are completely different from the examinal exercises, are exercises that just become bread and butter. So when that ship leaves the wall, you can't dial 999. I mean, effectively, it's a floating bomb with oils, hydraulics, ammunition, and such on board. So if anything goes wrong, we have to do daily exercises for flood, so for containment. So each day we'll have a duty watch, and then you'll have a containment party, a flood party, a fire party. If we're alongside, we'll have, say, like an intruder, because we've had that before where the press have managed to get into the dockyard and they've taken pictures and stuff like that. So we are prepared for absolutely anything.
By this point, so you've been a travel agent, a radio operator, a weapons engineer, a firefighter. What made you think, right, now's the time to leave? You've done all of these things and you thought, right, I want to change.